This is the journey to one Africa.
Beloved continent and way forward. To my right, Honorable Peter Obi, same thing, same message. The world at large, they know that Africa's future is in the hands of our youth. So New Africa Foundation specifically requested us to come and address African youth, starting with the youth in Ghana. And from what I'm hearing, the youth had actually come from all over Africa, and some came from outside Africa, specifically to hear the message of empowerment, the message about our future, the message about the miseducation of not only our youth, but us as Africans, the message about empowering our children and letting them know that now it is the time for us to do what we must do to take our Africa back. For far too long, we have been lied to. For far too long, we have been miseducated. And so as elders, those of the ones who are sitting with me today, and many others, we understand that we have failed our youth. But we do have a responsibility to make it right. And we do know that with our little wisdom and the energy and the intelligence of our youth, together we can take our Africa in a new direction. That is what we came here to do. And that is what New Africa Foundation has asked us to do. We do know that our leaders cannot lead us on their own. They need all of us. So the message that we were going to deliver to our youth today was the message of hope, the message of resilience, and the message that says the Africa we want can only be built by us for us. And for us to succeed at doing so, we must be united. That the African youth are Africa's future. Without them, there is no future for Africa. And as elders, we have a responsibility to share with them the truth and nothing but the truth. That is the message that we came here to deliver. That is what New Africa Foundation had requested us to do. We may not be at the convention center, but we intend to continue to preach the gospel of truth until we reach the promised land. I have no doubt in my mind that we will get there, because Africa, the Africans, the people I like to describe as the beautiful, intelligent, sophisticated, highly adaptable, and totally indestructible human beings, the mothers and fathers of humanity, we will get to the promised land. Woo! And that's why we're here. That's a very interesting question. And I need you guys to pay attention to what I'm getting ready to say. You raised a very important issue that you said, being literate or illiterate. But I'll tell you, our issues as Africans today are issues of the mind. The most dangerous African of today is an African who is colonized, educated or not. Coming from Zimbabwe, I can honestly tell you that the people who are moving Zimbabwe in terms of the awakening are the villagers. They seem to have a better understanding of what is really going on and are less likely to be sold, are less likely to sell their souls. And you must look at the people around you. Some of the most difficult people, I was called by the Africa group at the World Bank one time to address them for their annual event. And I went through all the issues and the pillars of why Africa is where Africa is, and I analyzed the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization that the 14 African former French colonies were made to sign. I thought everybody understood. But at the end of it, 2 African-born economists working for the World Bank come to me and said, "But Ambassador, why do you keep talking about the Berlin Conference? It's a thing of the past." And to my utter shock, I'd gone through the process of explaining the Berlin Conference and that it is a policy that was put in place in order to see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated and dominated. And that as long as we have a country called Togo, as long as we have a country called Burkina Faso, as long as we have a country called Malawi, we are defeated. Intentionally so. So these 2 economists working for the World Bank are the same ones now that are being used as instruments of our own self-destruction. They're the ones that are being sent to Africa to sell policies that are detrimental to Africa's progress. So the question then becomes, what is our education doing for us? And it goes back to the miseducation. The people who are in power are the ones who are failing to stand up and challenge those who are raping us in broad daylight. Pardon my choice of words. I was once asked by one African, "Ambassador, let's try to be nice to these Westerners. Let's not be too direct as we challenge them." And I did ask this brother of mine, I said, "My brother, help me out. How do I tell a man who is raping me to rape me nicely?" I said, "Help me with the language." And this was an educated professor who is advising me to be nice. How long am I going to continue to be nice? Those are the educated people who are sitting in the boardrooms and they choose to be mute. And when they are mute while representing us, that means 1.4 billion Africans are mute. It is not the villager who is sitting at the boardroom table. It is the elite, the educated. So my son, what is our education doing to us? What have we done to undo the colonial education? I hear right here in Ghana, perfect example. There's not a single Kwame Nkrumah book that is required reading in the Ghanaian educational system. Whose problem is that? Most African countries, our educational system is still the colonial educational system. So what do you expect from the leaders that we have today if their education remains colonized? So may I say, the most dangerous person for Africa today is a colonized African. And we must challenge each and every one of us to have a serious conversation with the image in the mirror. Are you colonized? Where do you stand when it comes to the issues to do with Africa? How do you feel about the continued exploitation of Africa? How do you feel about neocolonization, imperialism? Do you even understand it? Do you even know what the Berlin Conference means when it comes to your ability to buy bread, to your ability to get a job? Can you connect the dots back to the policies that are designed to keep us where they want us to be? It is the elite, it is the educated who are refusing to challenge the status quo and speak on our behalf, educated or not. So I'd like to answer your question by saying our miseducation is what is leading us to the Africa that we are today, an Africa that cannot stand up and defend our turf with facts, with our truths. Ours is a simple issue. You see, truths and facts, these are constants that never change. All we gotta do is stand up. I'd like to end by saying, some of you have seen a poster. There were black men who were bending over, and there was a table on their backs. And at the bottom, it simply said, and on top, of course, sitting around the table, were white people who were feasting. And the caption simply said, all we gotta do is stand up. Why have we failed to stand up?
Thank you.
I feel very strongly that I should make this comment. As I was coming here, I got a call from one of my African diaspora who is a Ghanaian, who actually came to Ghana from the United States because I was coming here. He said, Ambassador, I heard a rumor that the reason the event was canceled is because the young man who was sponsoring it is a millionaire, and he has political ambitions. And I said, well, that's news to me. So I felt I should address this in case some of you journalists may have heard that as well. I can tell you as clearly and plainly as I can that I never heard the conversation about him being a millionaire. I never had a conversation about him having political ambitions. The time that I've spent with him has been more to do with entrepreneurship and the possibilities. So for those who are saying we are here to support him further his political ambitions, that is a damn lie. Certainly from my interactions with him, I don't know about whether he told Professor that. I don't know if he told my brother Honorable Peter that. I might want them to clearly state that, whether that conversation ever took place. But the interactions I've had with Nana Bediago have been about entrepreneurship and the possibilities of what we can do if the African youth could be empowered, and how we can raise money to support African youth so they can build the Africa that we want. That's all the conversations I've had. Anything else, I do not know. But I felt I should let all of you journalists know, because I'm sure you're going to hear the same rumor that I just heard. These are the conversations I've had with my son. And I'll tell you one more thing. When the invitation came, Professor can tell you, I didn't know my son, but I had to do homework. What got me to accept the invitation is his age and the fact that he's a youth. Because if we do not support our youth, then who is going to support them? I hired a young man one time. He said, Doctor, nobody wants to hire me because I have no experience. But how do I get experience if I don't get a job to begin with? I said, son, you're hired. I accepted an invitation from Nana, not because I knew him, but because of his age and the amazing things that he's doing at such a young age. It is that plain and simple. Anything else is a lie. I just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you.